What's going on, everybody? The Red Sun fucking back again. The only way that I can make this intro not seem cringy in the slightest, seem less cringy, is I have to swear in front of it. But just because I did it once, I'm gonna do it again, mostly because I'm kind of saving up most of my time for the actual video that I'm gonna make that's going to take a little bit of time to actually research because I didn't put any effort into most of these videos. But I think I might put a little bit into a single one of them. Just a tad. Just a tad. But on that note, my topic for today is the comparison that I tend to find where it's stated if you compare one thing, then it's an apple. You compare the other, it's an orange. Apples and oranges, they're always compared to each other, but they're never actually stated why they're being compared in the first place. Both are fruit, understandable, but which one is which one is truly superior? And my way of thinking is apples and oranges. Which one is the better weapon? Pulled a sneaky on you. That was exactly what I meant to do. If you had an apple, would it be a more effective weapon? If you had an orange, could you easily beat to death somebody? Or would you have to work a little bit harder? All these questions and more answered on today's episode of Dragon Ball Z. I don't remember where I was going to go with this, but I'm going to go ahead and stick with what I'm doing. Alright? On the first side is an apple. Singular red apple, or it could be green. That would give it a bonus in durability because green apples tend to be a little bit more durable for the lesser period of time. As long as they're there. Alright? Apples. If you're using it as a weapon, the best way that I can describe it is you should be able to put it into, let's say, in your bare hand, like you were just holding it, just like right there, just a dead full apple. Apple just picked off the branch. It was perfectly ripe. It's a light shade of red, and it's really juicy. Hey, you can feel that there is still moisture inside of it, and there's still plenty of juice left in the apple. If you bit into it, you could definitely make sure that it's perfect. You got it at just the right moment. Now, how easily could you kill someone with it? If you use the apple, the app compared to that of an orange, an apple is quite a little bit more sturdy, but once a cut is made in it, then a cut cannot be unmade. And it seems to focus on a water balloon sort of setting. Once it's torn in any way, then the juice naturally has to leak out and push through that little area, or it'll start to secrete out of a few of the small orifices on the apple itself until eventually it becomes dried or rotten or just overall bad. That being said, though, they hold a considerable weight advantage when you use them. If you were to use them let's say, as a throwing weapon, an apple itself does shatter upon impact, but due to its hefty size compared to that of an orange and the fullness of the apple itself, it does shatter on impact, though. Oh, I would say that the apple would be sufficient with throwing ability due to its weight and overall momentum that you can get behind it regardless of your strength. As long as you're accurate and you can hit somebody dead center in the forehead, that would at least cause a stagger, in which case you could run towards them and then use it in the second category. the blunt force melee ability. If you decided to grab the apple itself and just start smashing it down on somebody, I feel like the best way that you could possibly use it downward. Would be downward, where the stalk itself is coming up here, and the apple itself is going curvature, and then the little indent at the bottom. Kind of like whatever shape I'm making. Just imagine like this is the stem. In that sense, it would have a much more sturdy time as you continuously went down and hit somebody with the bottom of the apple. Not to say it wouldn't break in your hand, but it would be a while before it broke. At least 5 or 6 swings. Thanks. Just downward, taking a few good lumps. It would hold its weight together because the skin of an apple is actually much tougher than you would originally think. Either that or I'm a skinny bitch. And finally, if you were to use it as, let's say, the finishing move, where you took the fruit in question, got a long tubed sock, put it at the end of it, and then just decided to go in for the killing blow. Oh, just a swing, slam, right there. Would it work efficiently? I think it would work decently well. You may have to change the apple once or twice as you go into swing at the person. A firm smack against the jaw could probably cause it to break. Eardrums could possibly cause them to rupture if hit at a certain angle. The temple is always a soft spot. A lot of places around here would take a few swings, but anywhere that would probably be here and here, that would be a probably good spot. It would take about 4 to 5 swings if you were going hard enough, depending on the length of the sock. Overall, the apple is a strong contender and is definitely holding its own in the categories. Now, onto the same categories for the orange. Now, the orange itself has a much thicker skin to it and holds its shape a lot better. Some of you may be thinking that, oh, as long as he's using the orange, maybe he's using the weird fucking sunshine ones, the ones that are like this big. No, I'm using normal oranges. If you were to go down to Florida right now and you found a tree, don't go to fucking Florida. There's a video about it. Link is in the description. No, it's not. I don't remember how to do that. Fuck you. No. The orange itself would be about yay big. Roughly the size of an apple, slightly more condensed downward when it comes to the verticality level, but overall a thicker shell, allowing it to hold itself together. And normally the juices would not come out of the orifices. It would continue to harden the outside of it until eventually it would start to rot, therefore holding it all together and making it a much more durable of an item. Very nice, very understandable. If it were poked through with a knife, due to the shaping of it, there's a good chance that you wouldn't actually get anything out of it. Unless you had to squeeze hard and hard with only a singular hole in it, then you would actually get some of the juice out of it. Making it overall, I think, more sturdy than the apple, while being able to retain a lot more of its shape and physique over a longer period of time. The orange is certainly holding its own against it in the durability section. Now, if it were used as a thrown projectile, due to the orange's slight shape difference, I feel like there wouldn't be much of a change. But then again, there would be at least a harder throw accompanied to it because those things are rather highly dense. But they don't lack the inner core that the apple does that holds it in its firm state if you were to allow it to be thrown. Instead of giving it an endoskeletal structure similar to that of an actual skeleton, where the part that holds it together is on the inside, the shaping of the orange itself is on the outside, kind of like an exoskeleton, similar to that of what an ant has. The bones are on the outside, keeping everything else on the inside. Right. The shell of the orange itself allows it to retain its shape, allowing it to be thrown at a much harder speed, and due to the amount of g-force that it can be thrown, you can throw it much further and much faster without causing it to break apart in your hands if it's more than a day old. So I think the throwing aspect of the orange itself would actually hold a little bit more of an advantage. Normal oranges are, in fact, about the same weight, but also more densely packed with liquids and juices. So I would consider the orange to be superior when it comes to the throwing aspect. Now, when it comes to the physical melee of holding it in hand and going downwards, that itself, the orange would likely fall apart due to the fact that the shell itself is sturdy but holds a more elastic property to it, making it much more flexible in hand, allowing it to move quicker if used, but much less effective. There wouldn't be an inner skeletal structure to hold it in place as you went down for a finishing strike. Overall, I gotta say, the orange itself is not looking good when it comes to the physical strike. And I would have to say the apple wins in that category. Now, onto the final category is the armed melee weaponry. If you were to take an orange and place it in a tubular sock and then beat the, as the kids are calling it, shit out of somebody, if you were to swing the sock hard enough with a full orange inside of it, it would definitely be strong enough to break bones. Overall, I believe the size would hold itself together and there would not be as much of a leakage when it came to the juices inside of it the way that the apple would. If any of you have ever broken hit an apple with a baseball bat or hit an orange with a baseball bat, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Overall, I feel like it would be held together much more, but it would have the lowered benefit of not retaining a sturdy shape, allowing it to be more consistent with the damage caused. You would probably have to replace the orange maybe once or twice in the entire system. That being said, I am sorry, but I'm going to have to give that to the apple as well. Which leads the apple leading in 2 categories, while the orange is only leading in a singular. Now, that being said, I would like to thank you all for being here. The overall winner of the fight between apples and oranges, which is the better weapon, is apples. But we all know, deep in our minds, there is a third option. Watermelon. You could murder someone so hard with a watermelon. You could reverse Gallagher the fuck out of all of them. Just 1, 2, 3, bam! If you think the weight isn't too much, you can get one of those little tiny ones, those little bitch-ass watermelons, and you can just fucking bam, 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 bam. The rinds don't break if you hit them that hard. Or you could pull a different one, get a pineapple, and just grab it by the stalk and fucking bam, like a medieval mace, just tear that motherfucker up. But that might be for a later video. I do have to figure out which one would be considered the most deadly of fruits. But let's just say the banana will probably not appear on any of them. Bananas are little bitch-ass fruits and they don't really work. So, on that note, I would like to congratulate everybody who thought the apple would win. You're a very smart person, and you probably just skipped to the head of the video to figure out everything that's going on. So, on that note, have a nice day. Don't step out in the rain, because you'll get sick, and don't step outside, you'll get sick again. Wash your fucking hands. I've been the Red Sun, signing out. Have a nice day, and fuck off.